Right, so hello and welcome back to another 90 Day The Single Life video on Arthur TV. Today we're looking at the 12th and final part of Big Ed's journey on season 2 of the series. So last time out we looked at part 1 of the season 2 tell-all. Big Ed revealed that since announcing his engagement to Liz, his mum Norma and his daughter Tiffany have stopped speaking to him. And shortly after, his friend Rich came on to say that he doesn't approve of the relationship either. One of Norma's biggest concerns is that Liz is taking advantage of Ed, but despite Liz saying that she'd be happy to sign a prenup, Big Ed won't even entertain the idea, as he believes that they're merely contracts for divorce. Part 1 then wrapped up, and during the halftime break, Liz overheard Natalie and Stephanie slating her relationship and stepped in to call them out. Weirdly though, unlike in the season 1 tell-all, they didn't really come back to talking about Big Ed and Liz's relationship in the second half, and they didn't bring anyone else from their storyline onto the show either. It was kind of disappointing because firstly, I think we were all expecting a lot more drama, but secondly, I really thought they were going to bring Mia or Kaori on. But of course, when I watched part 2 of the tell-all and realised that that was it, I decided that I couldn't leave you guys hanging like that. So I decided to reach out to Mia myself. Thankfully, she actually replied and gave us some exclusive tea about Big Ed that's even juicier than I had hoped. But before then, let's just look at the final few clips of the tell-all where Big Ed is actually involved as everyone gets ready to say goodbye.
I moved out to LA when I was 23, 24.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have the apartment. How am I going to pay for it?
Oh, shit.
I was like, I'll just be a stripper.
I knew she looked familiar. I'm like, where do I know you from?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You never brought my change back. No kidding.
Oh my God.
I know a lot of people are going to think that that's creepy from Big Ed, but I can't lie, I thought that was quite funny. This, of course, is Stephanie, the girl that a lot of you guys realised was having a bit of a wardrobe malfunction in the first part of the tell-all. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was on purpose because she's quite an open girl when it comes to her sexuality. And as many of you may have already seen, she's the girl that's made over $200,000 selling her farts in a jar, which ended up with her getting hospitalised. She also has a very popular OnlyFans with almost 1,000 posts, so maybe this was just a bit of tactical advertising. Anyway, as everyone started heading off, Big Ed checked out with yet another big blunder.
Okay, bro. Okay, Grandma.
Hey, bro. I love you, bro. My mom and my daughter think I chose her over them, but they're still processing this. But, you know, I love Liz, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her, and that's where I'm at, and that's all I care about.
Nice one, Ed. I'm sure your mother and daughter who miss and care about you loads will love to hear that you couldn't care less about them, or anyone or anything other than Liz. Way to just confirm literally everything they're worried about. In fact, not only that, but he didn't even mention them at the end. The producers had to ask him and be like, so do you think it's going to work out with Norma and Tiffany in the end, or...?
I do. I mean, I've been at my mom's side, literally by her side for the last 39 years. And I think my daughter, over time, you know, will realize that when she sees that it's real and Liz is not hurting me, that she'll come around. That's my hope.
It's such a weird response because it's so obvious that he just hasn't listened to a word they've been saying the entire time. Tiffany's not sitting there worrying that the relationship isn't real and that Liz is hurting him. She just doesn't approve of her dad dating someone younger than her, and she just doesn't like who Liz is as a person. Also, saying that he hopes they come around makes it sound like he's not going to try at all to win them over. He's just going to wait until they come back to him, which again is just such a self-centered approach to the whole thing.
I'll go get a fucking room. Seriously.
Pull up a chair.
Take it outside, guys. Probably in a couple of weeks they'll be broken up. So that's a shame. Come here. Seriously,
Debbie, I really
love you
do.
too. I just worry about you, okay?
I know. Right now, I'm
Okay.
happy. If he fucks
Well,
it up, I'm sure.
It won't last, so
No.
enjoy it while you can.
All right.
But it's her heart, and she should, no. If not, she'll find out.
Bye, guys.
And that was pretty much it. Compared with last season where Big Ed and Liz arrived at the tell-all having broken up and not spoken in months, and then finishing the tell-all by telling each other they love each other, both of them crying and then Big Ed saying that he hopes that she ends up in his bed, This season's ending was so anticlimactic. As I said before though, I couldn't let this saga just end on such a pathetic whimper. So although that was the end of the tell-all, that's not the end of this video's drama. So I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this, but again in the last video, Mia was quite active in the comment section, and this time she also replied to my pinned comment saying that she had followed me on Instagram. So I looked in my notifications, followed her back, and messaged her asking her to spill all the tea she could on Big Ed. And she didn't disappoint. Firstly, we got the basics out of the way. In the video where she first appears, I remember saying I wonder if she's actually seen Big Ed on TV before, or if she's even heard about him and Liz, or him and Rose on the internet. But she said no. This obviously kind of made sense because otherwise, why would she agree to a date in the first place? We also didn't really know what she was actually looking for with Big Ed because we only heard him talking about wanting to find love and marriage, so I asked her that too. And she said that she was more interested in him as just a friend because she wasn't really looking to get into a relationship at the time. Well, with that out of the way, we then got onto the deeper stuff and it got dark quickly. They obviously did end up dating for a very short period of time. And apparently when they got onto talking about what they were looking for and what they were interested in, Big Ed told her that he's attracted to girls that want to use him and girls that need him for help. Now this is something I think we always slightly suspected was true of Ed, but for him to come out and admit it to someone is crazy. This was kind of obvious when he was dating Rose because she was from quite a poor background, so he definitely thought that she needed him for his money and probably thought that she was using him for the green card. But I think it goes even deeper than that because I don't think he's just attracted to these traits because he wants to be a provider. I think he likes it because it gives him power and control over whoever he's dating. Like he definitely used his money and status against Rose to make her stay with him through their tougher times, and arguably use them against her to sleep with her in that first night in the hotel. And then with Liz, she's a single mum who's been divorced twice, who was working long hours in customer service to pay her bills. Big Ed stepping in offered her a route out of that financial hardship, and arguably into a much easier life, other than the overwhelming drawback of having to date the little divvy that is. But that's something he could take away from her very easily. I also think that he likes that power and control because it means that he can get away with a lot more in a relationship. Like when Liz got back together with Big Ed and was engaged to him just a day later, it didn't make a lot of sense because they seemingly broke up for good reason. I mean, their relationship was terrible, he treated her awfully, and from the way that she was posting on social media, she seemed to hate his guts. But then a couple of you in the last video spoke about something called trauma bonding. So for those of you who don't know what a trauma bond is, like I didn't before I looked it up, it's essentially an emotional attachment to someone that develops from a repeated cycle of abuse, devaluation and positive reinforcement. If the way Big Ed spoke to Liz in that leaked phone call is anything like the way he treats her sometimes off camera, then that would no doubt fall under the abuse and devaluation part. And we all know how over the top he can be with positive reinforcement. So it would not surprise me at all if the reason that Liz can't leave Big Ed, no matter how bad the relationship appears to us, is because she's trauma bonded to him. So going back to the original point, I think having this power imbalance appeals to Big Ed because it allows him to get away with this abuse much more easily and enables him to get into these cycle with girls that ends up with them trauma bonded to him. All this being said though, I have to add that I am in no way qualified to make this judgment either way. I just thought it was an interesting thing to consider when thinking about why Big Ed loves power imbalances in relationships and when trying to figure out why Liz went back to him after everything he put her through. Anyway, after Big Ed admitted all of this to Mia, she basically said that she wasn't like that because she had her shit together. She was already not really feeling it, but then she got even more freaked out about how creepy he was when he sent her a photo showing her as his lock screen. After just one date, how weird is that? I ended up asking her why she was even interested in him in the first place, and she sent me this picture. It turns out that they had actually been on a date before the date we had seen on the show, and they walked past a bunch of people that were doing yoga, and she dared him to get involved, and he did. She then said, however, that she quickly realised that he was really full of himself, and that kind of overshadowed the whole sense of humour thing. And I think the fact that he's wearing Big Ed wear merch on their date just about sums that up. And if that wasn't bad enough, he was also sending her gifs and memes of himself. But really, she didn't need to go on a date to figure all of that out. All she had to do was check his Instagram and realise that 90% of his posts are either him selling out or monetising his Big Ed brand. Like, one of his latest posts is this: a quote-unquote iconic limited edition Big Ed plushie. Like, who's buying this stuff? Well, actually, not that many people apparently. The way this works is that you have to sell a certain amount in 21 days before it even becomes a thing. Currently, Big Ed has only sold 19 of these plushies, meaning that only 9% of the campaign has been funded so far. This works out that he needs to sell over 200 of these plushies before they're even manufactured. And to be honest, I am not hugely surprised that this isn't selling well. I mean, who would want a Big Ed plushie lying around your house? This thing looks like a bad omen. I wouldn't be surprised if it cursed your love life as long as it was around you. It's like Chucky all over again, but creepy for a very different reason. It is weird that it's selling that badly though, because other things he seems to sell crazy well. Like the other day he launched this set of 4 Valentine's Day cards for $12 and they sold out. And what's even weirder is that they're all quotes and references to his time dating Rose. I love you as much as Big Ed loves shaved legs. May I lick you? Your breath may not be pretty, but you sure are. And you're my best view. They're not even good references. They're all times when he got heavily criticized by everyone watching. Demanding Rose shave her legs, the unwelcome kiss, insulting her breath by getting her toothpaste as a gift, the awkward reaction to him trying to be smooth. None of these are good for his brand, surely. You've also got to wonder how Liz feels about him constantly monetizing his time dating Rose. You know what's funny? He put out a t-shirt with Big Ed is my spirit animal written across it, and I commented saying Ted Bundy would have loved this, and Liz liked the comment. I don't know if she doesn't know who Ted Bundy is or she just thought the joke was funny, but this was after they got engaged. Another slightly less relevant but still funny sellout post was this ad he did for BoomBod, which by itself is questionable given the reviews of the product. But even worse is that he did a before and after post where he's topless in the first pic and wearing a black t-shirt in the second. I'm guessing he was originally meant to post a transformation photo, but the product obviously didn't work, so he just ended up having to post something that makes it less obvious that it's a scam. But you would have thought he would abandon the transformation format, wouldn't you? I must say though, for all of the criticism that comes his way, one thing you can't deny is that Big Ed is a very marketable guy. This has been his 3rd season on TV and it's been just as popular as his other 2, and his social media following is as big as it's ever been. So again, I have no doubt that the execs have big dollar signs in their eyes and are already planning on the next season with Big Ed in it. I actually wouldn't be surprised if filming had already started on a spin-off series about him and Liz getting engaged, getting married, and their start to married life. If that is the case though, I don't really know how interesting it's actually going to be. I think the schadenfreude that comes with watching him spectacularly fail with women over and over again is the only real selling point for me. So if this turns into another one of those reality shows where it's just following his day-to-day family life, I just don't think it'll be quite as entertaining. That being said though, whatever happens with Big Ed next, my curiosity around this strange little man requires that I cover it on this channel. So if you're not already, please feel free to subscribe and hopefully I'll catch you on that brand new saga. Until then, please feel free to let me know about any other couples, shows or topics you'd like me to talk about, either in the comments down below or by messaging me on social media. The links to all of them plus everything else channel related can be found in the description down below or on my very cool new website arthur.tv. And finally, I'd just like to say a very big thank you to all of my channel members and Patreons. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this saga and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.